Hi guys, and welcome back to Reed's Readers with your host, Clinton Reed. And today, as the title suggests, we're going to do a cozy little September wrap-up. Because now that it's October 1st, and I finished everything. Got my binder here, got my stack of books. But I'm also going to tell you at the end of this what I read for the Magical Readathon and what books were for each prompt. I'm also going to do my wrap up for the Fall Into Reading-a-thon as well. I ended up not completing one of the prompts, but hey. But I wanted to discuss the books first, and then I will put them in piles as what they stand for as we go. But yeah, I'll just grab the books for what they stood for. So I'm going to start with my 3 DNFs of the month. Actually, I'm going to start with, I actually did not finish Isn't It Bromantic? I'm still currently reading that, and I am still currently reading Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page, which I'm rolling these over into October. If I finish them, awesome. If I don't, so be it. It's that. These just, I didn't get to finish because I ran out of time and needed to finish a certain book, so. And I was trying to read this one because I DNF'd the book that needed for Fall Into Reading for Pumpkin Spice Latte and Apple Picking because there's a cup. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get these finished because my distractions at the end of the month. Now, my 3 DNFs, I'm going to talk about them briefly. 2 of them are automatically, they're going into the unhaul pile. One is Sterling still wants to give it a little shot, and we're going to try it again and see. My first DNF of the month is Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. I won't go too much into detail. It's just, I didn't jive with the writing style, and I thought the main character, I just didn't jive with the main character either. I made it 57 pages, and I wanted to blow my brain out, so this is automatically getting unhauled because I had Sterling read a few pages, and even he wasn't jiving with the writing style either, so I know it's not something he will like. And I know this is a beloved book, and a lot of people really love it. I just don't think it's for me, so it's going into our unhaul pile. Along with Ready Player One, which I still want to watch the movie. It's just, I couldn't really get in with the writing. I got 100 and something pages in. I don't remember how far exactly I got in. Got a few days of Our Buddy Reads in, and this is my 3rd time trying to read it, 3rd or 4th. And I'm just now determining it's not for me. It's very heavy on the sci-fi. It's not heavy on the sci-fi, but just something about the writing style just didn't jive with. So unfortunately, I'm unhauling this one too. I can't try it anymore. I'm over it. Next is, unfortunately, I am DNFing. That's where that bookmark went. I am DNFing Hello, Cruel Heart by Maureen Johnson. And this is one that I will give a second chance to. I just need to separate myself from the book for a minute. I tried the audiobook, and I really cannot jive with that audiobook's narration. It pissed me off to the point where I tried to read it physically, and now I can only hear the audiobook narration voice in my head. So this maybe is going back on our shelves, and I'm going to try it again at some point. It's just a no for me for right now. That one's a DNF, back on the shelves. Now, let's get into the books. I have my lowest rating to my highest. Granted, I had a lot of 5 stars this month Actually had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 5-stars out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out of the 14 books that I read, which isn't bad. And they can be moved, when we get to the 5 stars, they can be moved around and however you really want. But this is the mood of how I feel like with the books right now. So this is how we're going to go. My lowest rated this month is a 2.5. And unfortunately that goes to Crenshaw by Catherine Applegate. This is just written really young of middle grade, and I don't think it transferred well to all age ranges. Like, I understand that this isn't for me, and I get that. I will recommend this to children because I think several kids will love this, and I may actually gift this to one of my cousins because I think they will get something out of it. But it was just a little young for me. It's a cute story. It's about a boy whose imaginary friend comes back, which is a talking cat, because he's there to help save the family from losing everything. So, because they end up living in their car and stuff like that, if it was written a little different and I could connect to the pain that I know we're supposed to connect to, it could have been a 5 stars, but unfortunately, that's neither here nor there. Now, my next book, is a 4 star, so no 3 stars. And that is The Girl I Used to Be by April Henry. This is about a girl who, 14 years ago, a 3-year-old was the only survivor at a horrific murder scene. All these years later, the same girl is determined to search for the truth, but the killer is even more determined to stop her. This kept me on my toes. It's a really quick, fast thriller. If you're wanting one of those YA thrillers just to, like, get you in the mood. It didn't do anything that shocked and awed me. But April Henry is quickly becoming a very much auto-buy author for me. And I will be picking up more of her books in the future. They're short, they're fast. I devoured this in like one sitting. And I highly recommend it to people because this is really good. Really good. Now, next is our 4.5s. I have 2 4.5s, which I'm not shocked about one of them. The other one I am. This first one, I'm not as shocked. But One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, I gave a 4.5. This follows August, who meets a girl named Chan on a subway train. But the problem is Jan is stuck in 1970. And August is in today's time period. So, I loved the message of this book. It's Casey McQuiston. I will read anything Casey McQuiston. I just didn't connect with this as much as I connected with Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I have read multiple times. I could see me rereading this and getting more out of it. I loved all the side characters. There are one of the side characters that she lives with is trans. You've got a gay roommate, you've got drag queens, you've got everything. It's very New York. And it was just so good. It just didn't hit my heartstrings as much as Red, White, and Royal Blue, so I could not give it a full 5 stars. But I would highly, highly recommend this to anyone who is looking for a good sapphic romance. I don't read a lot of sapphic, which I think might have been part of my issues with Alexandria Bellafleurs. But this was just so cute. And this would make an amazing movie. Just saying. Yes. Next, I have Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This would have gotten a 5-star if I didn't solve the mystery in chapter, 3. I knew who did it, and I knew how they did it in chapter 3. But this book still kept pulling me to read more and more and more. If you don't know what Cemetery Boys is about, it's about a boy named Yadriel, it's a trans boy named Yadriel, who wants to prove to his family that he is a brujo. And he accidentally summons the wrong ghost, the wrong spirit, and things go haywire. It is really good. I loved it. Everything about this was just amazing. I just read a lot of thrillers, so I think I just saw the signs way too soon and was like, bam. And when it was turned out to be that, I was like, I was right. It works. Whatever. I will recommend this to everybody because this slayed the house down boots. This was everything. This was perfect. Well, not perfect, but you know what I mean. Okay, next we've got all the 10 5-stars. I always put my rereads, if they still get a 5 stars, I always put them first because I feel like it being a reread, it doesn't deserve a higher on the list. Other books should get represented more, if that makes sense. And that is my reread of Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan. This is book 3 in the Heroes of Olympus series. I can't tell you anything about it because this is the spinoff series of Percy Jackson, and if you haven't read Percy Jackson, this series will really spoil you. But this was seriously Annabeth's book. This is my favorite in the Heroes of Olympus series just because of the Annabeth dynamic in it, and I love all the characters. 5 out of 5 stars. It was just perfect. It's always perfect, but it's perfect. Next, I have a short story, which is Tell Me More, What Happened That Summer, which is a short story for Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. It was a pre-order giveaway for Perfect on Paper. I wanted to read this short story before we interviewed the author. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know if it would have gotten 5 stars. It might have gotten 4 if I hadn't read Only Mostly Devastated. But because I love the characters in Only Mostly Devastated so much, it got 5 stars, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was a pre-order incentive so that we wouldn't lose it, and we kind of wanted it on the shelf. Sterling was kind enough to print it off so that we would always have it on our shelves. So if we ever wanted to reread it, we could, and we knew exactly where it is. We also have a bonus chapter for Gravity of Us in here as well. That way we don't lose it in emails and stuff like that. So that is what that is. Next is Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This is a cute little novella in the solitaire Heartstopper world following Nick and Charlie. It is... Nick is going to college and Charlie is having issues with it. If I wasn't so attached to Charlie and Nick, I don't think this would have gotten 5 stars. It would have gotten 4 stars, which is why it's in this position. But Nick and Charlie are just Nick and Charlie. And I will read anything and everything that they have. And I'm wanting to read all of Alice Oseman's work. And this was just so good. So good. So good. And I loved every bit of it. Next is, I had an e-arc of this to read and review before the book came out, and we happened to get it in my pre-order in. So I wanted to throw this in here. This could actually be the best thing of the month, middle of the month. This could have been anywhere on this list. I just wanted to throw it in here so that you guys know. I read the e-arc of Beast Boy Loves Raven. This is the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition with the exclusive different cover. It's a graphic novel. It's the third one in the Teen Titans series that Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo are doing, following Raven and Beast Boy and how they fall in love. And this one was so good. It sucks that we have to wait till 2023 for the next one. Ugh. I loved some of the cameos in this, some of the random characters. If you're a fan of Teen Titans, or if you've always been interested in Teen Titans, this series is definitely the way to go, because they're amazing. Just amazing. I wanted to feel like I accomplished finishing something, so I read the e-arc, because I wanted to read it before it came out. I wanted to discuss it with Sterling, who obviously loves it as well. We are going to be ordering the Walmart exclusive edition, and we're going to get the regular edition so that we have all three different covers, because Walmart and Barnes & Noble also has exclusive stuff inside of it, like extra artwork, concept work, and memories in the back, which is super cool. This is one of our favorite graphic novel series. I think this is my favorite DC series that anyone's done. But I'm a huge Teen Titans fan, so. The next two books I'm going to talk about together, because they're part of the same series. And that is Arch Enemies and Supernova by Marissa Meyer. I had started this in August and finished it at the beginning of September. And then I read Supernova. I was buddy reading this series with Katrina. And what can I say? 5 out of 5 stars. This series blew me away. If you don't know what the Renegade series is about, it follows Nova and Adrian. And it follows... I went into it kind of blind. And that's kind of what I want people to do with this series. It follows superheroes and villains. And it's all about, are the heroes really heroes and are the villains really villains? They're just so good. This is one of my favorite series of all time. Now, Nova is now one of my automatic fave characters. This is my favorite Marissa Meyer work to date. And I want more superheroes in my life, so. I don't want to spoil anything on these. But that ending. The ending of this one had me screaming. But the ending of this one gives us possibilities for more. And I'm like, Marissa, please. Even if it's just like a novella with the character at the end of this one. Girl, I just want to know more. Now on to the top 4 books of the month, which could have been in any order because I loved all 4 of these super equally. I finally read Inheritance Games. Oh, both of these need to sit over here. Sorry. I finally read Inheritance Games. Why didn't I write this one down for that? Huh. We will be writing that down. By Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which follows Avery. I buddy read this with Rachel. And we will be reading, we are starting, I gotta start it today after I read the pages from Blood and Ash. We are starting the Hawthorne Legacy. We absolutely loved this. It's about a girl named Avery who finds out that this famous guy just gives her everything. All of his money, all of his property and everything, and does not inherit any of his family to have it. But there are clues and puzzles and stuff to figure out. This is something that I highly recommend going in only knowing these lines. Secret passages, elaborate riddles, billions at stake, let the games begin. Just go into it blind. This is amazing. Just amazing. Excuse me. I know I'm really bad at summing up books that I loved, except for saying amazing. But I highly recommend this to everybody, especially if you love YA, mystery thrillers with puzzles, if you love solving mysteries and figuring out different pieces here and there. I did not see any of the twists in this coming, and I read a lot of thrillers, so that's saying something. But I highly, 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 highly recommend this. Next was the group book for the Fall Into Reading-a-thon, and that is Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. Sophie Gonzalez in this house is an auto-buy author for both me and for Starling. This book follows Darcy Phillips, who runs a advice thing out of a locker. Gets blackmailed by a guy who wants her help to get his ex-girlfriend back, and the girl that she likes. And the conversations in this book are perfection. I honestly think that this book is going to become a YA classic. This, I think, is going to be up there with books like not Cemetery Boys, Felix Ever After, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I feel like these are the staple of LGBT recommendations. This is a book I would recommend to anybody who wants to read a book about a bi main character. The conversations about biphobia, internalized biphobia, conversations on transgender, conversations on sex, aromantic, and stuff like that are just perfection. Sophie did an amazing job. And there is a scene in this book that had me bawling like a baby. I'm not bi, and even I was like, what the fuck? That scene was everything. And just perfect. Go read it. Oops, excuse me. The next book I have is No Shocker. Thank you, Kaylani, for making me read this. I loved everything about this. No, that doesn't go with that. That does. Sorry. That is... and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm not going to tell you much about this. I went into it blind. All I knew about it was about a girl named Addie LaRue who sold her soul to a devil and sold her soul to a devil to live forever. But the catch is no one will ever remember her. And that is until she meets a boy in a bookstore who remembers her. Life is history from there. This was everything. It's just... I was so scared going into this. I had never read a V.E. Schwab book before. I now want to read everything she's ever wrote. This book just was bloody perfect. Just saying. If you haven't read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, why? Go do it. You'll love it. It's just, oh, my heart. My heart. This is, I can't even speak. And the last book I have to do a wrap up on is probably my favorite book of the month, followed really closely by Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And that is Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. This is a queer rom-com romance with the elements of their nerds going on a road trip. This let me back up. Sorry. This follows Conrad and Alden going on a road trip to play at a convention with the card game, which I cannot think of what the card game's name is now. I can't think of what the card game's name is. Odyssey. To play Odyssey. This was just the cutest thing. Had all my favorite tropes in it. It's two infamous rivals, one epic road trip, some uncomfortably tight quarters. It's the one bed trope. And a journey neither will ever forget. Ugh. I immediately bought the second one, which is right up here in the yellows. Out of character. Just, I cannot wait. Just this was everything. This was everything. Okay. Now I'm going to do my magical readathon wrap up. I was able to get almost everything read for the magical readathon, except for one other prompt, which I will figure out how to incorporate that into future things. The only books that don't count towards that, these count towards the other. Look at those. Okay, cool. Now, let me turn these sideways so that I know which book to grab. Cool. Now we're just going to go with the novice path to start with, and then we'll go into the traits and stuff for my character. So for the novice path, you had to start with the entrance and to read a book with a map. And for that, I read Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. And at the very beginning, there is a map. So that clicked that. Ashtorn Tree is a book that keeps tempting you. And because I had finished Arch Enemies, a book that was tempting me a lot was Supernova by Marissa Meyer. Completed that. For Mist of Solitude, read a standalone. Unfortunately, my standalone sucked, and I read Crenshaw for that. Ruin of the Sky, a book with ghosts, haunted house, or other supernatural elements. Excuse me. I read Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which has ghost magic. Loved that. Obsidian Falls, read a thriller or a mystery, and for that, I read The Girl I Used to Be. For Tower of Rumination, a 5-star prediction. Fortunately, it wasn't a 5-star, but that was One Last Stop by Casey McQuestion, which was almost a 5-star. And for the Aurelium Academy, a book with a school setting, I read Perfect on Paper for that. Loved it. Okay, now for the traits, which 2 I realize actually work for some of these. So I don't remember what. Okay, for background, I chose urban. My character's name is Vora Del Cinter. My background, I chose urban, which was just read a book set in a city or a town. For that, I read The Inheritance Games, which is set in a Texas town with Texas school and house, but it's in a town. So I'm counting it, even though it mostly takes place in the house. But still, I'm counting it. For province, she's originally from Carador, but she lived on Erythrea for a long period of time, so I needed to read one for both because I'm that type of person. And it's Erythrea that I haven't read a book for, which is read a book that features Fae or Elven characters. But for Carador, you're supposed to read a book from an ongoing series, and I read Arch Enemies for that. And my heritage is I'm an elf. And I realized this book has this, which I had to read a book with moon or stars on the cover or the title, and I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's all these stars and constellation in the title. So this is what I completed for Magical Readathon, which I think is really freaking awesome, if I do say so myself. I still need to read a book that either has Fae or Elven characters, but I don't necessarily have to, seeing that she's originally from Carador. And now into the Fall Into Reading-a-thon wrap-up. For Schools in Session, which is to read the group book, I read Perfect on Paper. Online Learning, all the books that I read, audiobooks. So, any of them? For Friday Night Lights, which is to read a book that involved a competition, a game, a sport, something, I read Nick and Charlie. For Who Wants Candy Corn, which is to read a book with red, orange, yellow on the cover. Nick and Charlie, Perfect on Paper, and Cemetery Boys all had that. For Pumpkin Spice Latte and Apple Picking, I DNF'd Hello Cruel Heart, and I wasn't able to finish Isn't It Romantic in time, unfortunately. So I wasn't able to accomplish that. And Beneath the Harvest Moon, to read a book involving a supernatural element, I read Cemetery Boys. I will state the week of this, I did complete Conventionally Yours, and I read the short story by Sophie Gonzalez. So that is what I accomplished that week. So I still call it a win. I may not have completed all the challenges, but I still call it a win. But that is my monthly wrap-up. I'm gonna grab all the books real fast. These are the 14 books, right? Yes, these are the 14 books that I accomplished in the month of September. With a few DNFs, a few pages read on other books, I think I did really good with only 2 that I have to carry over, which is why I'm still taking a punishment in October. I'm going to set these down. So comment down below and let me know, did you read any of these books? Did your ratings of these books align with any of mine? Did you... Comment down below and let me know, what did you read for Fall Into Reading-a-thon? I am so happy and I'm so glad all you guys joined us for that. It was such a blast. I think this is one of our most successful rounds of season-a-thons there is. Also, comment down below and let me know if you read anything for the Magical Readathon. Did you complete your character stuff or not? Let me know. Also, I'm kind of curious if you did read, what is your guild? Just so you know, I am House Mind Walker. It's neither here nor there. But yes, comment down below. Let me know any of that. If you've read what you read for Magical Readathon, what you read for Fall Into Reading-a-thon. Did you read any of the books that I read? Comment down below and let me know, what was your best book of September? I know I'm kind of rambling now, aren't I? But yes, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. And if you're new, might as well hit that subscribe. You want to know if I accomplished my October TBR. Oh, it's so big. Oh, and I may add another one to it because I kind of want to read that one too because I got to pre-order it. And I'm like, I need to read it pronto. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Remember, kids, always be fabulously yourself. And until next time, oh boy. Oh boy.